Today we're going to be discussing ocean acidification, a byproduct of our world's changing climate and our impact on it.
Ocean acidification is a change in the fundamental chemistry of the waters of the ocean. And that's happening as we add carbon dioxide to it. And what is changing is a property of water called pH. We got some water, pour it into a glass. pH test kit. You remember you have to check the chemistry. And so you add a little bit of this dye. That the pH of this water, because it's pink, is probably something above 8.2. So I'm going to add some carbon dioxide using a soda stream. As I add CO2, you can see it start to change color, and the pH now is down in the 7 range, and as it stirs in more, that's going to take it to lower and lower pHs. And ocean acidification is due to nothing more than that. The bigger question is, why is it happening? Well, that's happening because we're changing the carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere. We're raising the amount of carbon dioxide by burning fossil fuels, by creating cement. Lots of processes are making more CO2.
The ocean acidification is gaining a lot of traction, not only here in DC at the federal level, but also at the state level. Ocean acidification is a challenge when you come to the governance question because it's a global problem caused by the rise in atmospheric carbon dioxide, but it has these local effects. And what we find is that folks who live and work near the water, who rely on marine resources for their income and their nutrition, are folks who are seeing profound changes in those marine resources. We're seeing changes in shellfish harvests. We're seeing other changes in the marine ecosystem that scientists are still trying to determine if ocean acidification is a piece of the puzzle.
Hog Island Oyster Company, and we have seen the problems showing up on our supply side of what we call seed. We as an industry have been trying to figure out what's going on. A lot of the seed was actually at the hatcheries. We're having 100% die-off happening, and that's extremely disconcerting, to say the least. What's happening on a monetary basis would be a direct impact on my business. I have now 200 employees. If I don't have the product to sell, I'm really not able to function.
The work we do at NOAA's Coral Reef Watch is related to coral bleaching. It's a close cousin to the problem we're talking about now in ocean acidification, and it's being influenced greatly by the increase in carbon dioxide in our atmospheres. As the CO2 has increased in the atmosphere, as we've been seeing warming, we've been seeing more and more events where the temperatures rise to a point that the corals are not able to tolerate it. And corals are an interesting mix. Corals are a mix of animal, plant, and minerals. There's a severe bleaching event going on in Thailand in 2010, and the temperatures had gotten up high enough that the corals had been losing these microscopic algae that live inside their tissues. This is really important because the corals serve as the basis of the food chain on coral reefs and also provide the structure for the coral reefs. The increase in carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is causing the warming, and we're seeing the coral bleaching. But the acidification is actually making it harder for corals to recover from coral bleaching events. It even gets to the point that you start dissolving corals, you start dissolving structures, you start losing a lot of what coral reefs are made of.
We can't solve these grand challenges like ocean acidification if we don't have the tools to measure them. And so, beginning a few years ago, we started analyzing this growing problem and the alarm that was being sounded by a lot of scientists and other experts around the world, and said, okay, well, what is it that we can do to rapidly transform our ability to respond to something like ocean acidification? And it became clear that fundamentally anything we might be doing, whether it's understanding or resolving local issues, is going to require devices and tools that give managers, experts, citizens, and others the information that they need to respond. So the Wendy Schmidt Ocean Health XPrize was born, and it's a $2 million competition for radically transformative breakthrough devices that will allow anyone the ability to measure what the pH of the ocean is, how it's changing, and to have the confidence to know that we can then respond with exactly the right response.